Hey up, welcome back to part number 5 of my F-15C video build. Beautiful eagle in a Lakenheath marking. So this video we're going to talk about decals. So we're going to decal this aircraft using the aftermarket Caracal decal set. And I'll talk you through the whole process. So even as part of the video build series, if you're just interested in learning how to do decals, this is probably a good video for you to watch too. I'll talk about all my tools, what I use, and I'll demo the first few decals and show you how I basically do it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, decals. So all my videos are pretty much the same. That's because I have my way of doing it. It works, so why change it, right? So if you've seen any of my decal videos in the past, exactly the same stuff, just going to repeat it. So if you haven't, then this stuff's going to be new to you, I guess. So we have a model here. It is clear coated, LP9, a gloss coat to seal that paint in. Now, this is one of those things in a hobby. People say, do you need a clear coat before decals? Yes or no? Big arguments. You know what? Just do what works best for you, right? So all I can say is when I haven't clear coated models, I sometimes get the odd issue in decals. When I do clear coat it, without jinxing it for this one, it works for me. And also it helps, again, seal the paint. So if I knock it or whatever, don't scratch the paintwork. So I do like to do a clear coat before my decals. I just find it helps. But hey, do whatever's best for you, right? So here's what we're going to use for this. We're going to use these tweezers, and these are Tamiya decal tweezers. Highly recommend them. They're really, really cool. Flat end, and they make it so easy to pick them up. Like a game changer for me. So really recommend these guys. Small pair of scissors. These are just from Amazon. I think like Friska's kind of type. Like sewing, knitting, the sewing needles. Sewing scissors. I think what they're called. A Q-tip. An old airbrush needle. It's bent. It's good for moving things around. It starts at sharp point, so it's an old airbrush needle. And micro set and micro sole. As you guys always see, I mark them when I get a new bottle. Mark it 1 and 2. For me, and most people, it should be the other way around. You sole first and you set it afterwards, but you do the blue first and the red second. So 1 and 2, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then hot water. I have used hot water from the kettle, not boiling, just hot in a ramekin here. And I do have a mug warmer just off camera, which I normally keep this on to keep it warm during my whole decal session. Now, when it comes to mug warmers, spend a little bit more money and get a good one. I have one that doesn't turn off automatically, so my issue is sometimes I forget and I come down in my workbench the following day and it's still going and it's completely kind of evaporated all the water, which isn't great, right? So if you can get one with like an auto off, I think that's the way to go, because if you're like me, you always kind of forget to turn these kind of things off. So that is pretty much the setup. So I'm not going through every single decal on this, but we'll do a couple. So we're going to use an aftermarket set here for Lakenheath, which is the Caracal models CD72074. 4 markings. They all pretty much look the same, to be honest with you. There's a D and a pre-C, so we're obviously doing a C version, so we've got the choice of these top 3. As they all pretty much look the same, I'm just going to go with the first one. Actually, a little bit more stuff will go on the tail. So we'll do this one here. And also, if you look at instructions, you actually get a nice double page on this bigger version of that one, whereas option 2, 3, and 4 are smaller. So we'll do one. And then on the back here is the kind of generic stuff for all of them, the stencils and stuff. We'll go with what we got in the kit first, and we'll see how we go. With this set first. And if we have a bunch more decals from the kit. All of these kind of little tiny stencils and stuff. Again, we'll start with these first and see, and then we'll make a decision whether we're going to add any more stencils. Sometimes in 70-second scale, it's just not worth it. If it's so tiny and it doesn't really stick out so much, the text is kind of small, and it's kind of very similar to the fuselage color, it's just probably a waste of time, right? So in this scale, we'll see how we go. So let's do the first one. So make things easy, I'm just going to do this one right here on the... Actually, let's do the underside. No, we'll do this one here on the top of the wing. So the stars and bars. So, looking here, I'm just looking here, I got quite a few. Use lighter grey signet on top of wings. Okay, it's a very, very slight different color. I mean, it's hard to see if you can see on the decal sheet there. They all look very similar color to me, but I guess the 2 in the middle are the lighter ones. So you got this sheet, you can probably do more than one scheme. This looks like you can do a few. So with my little scissors here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this lighter one out like it says. Okay. Put my scissors down, and then all I do is use my tweezers. I literally put it in the water here, just dip it in, take it out, and put it on the mat, and that's it. Let it do its thing. Now it depends on the manufacturer. I haven't used Caracal for a while, so I can't remember exactly how long it takes. When I built the KC-135, well, I can't remember what manufacturer it is. It is not Mini Art. It is Mini Craft. Sorry. So it's Mini Craft. They were great decals, but they took like 5 minutes to soften up. So you don't want to rush this thing. So with the tweezers here, just kind of give a little nudge to see when it's ready to move. That one isn't yet. So yeah, it depends anything from seconds to, like I say, it could be 5 minutes. And again, those Mini Craft decals, some I just let in the bench for 20 minutes and I'm just good to go. So I mean, it all depends on what you're using. They're different every time. So some people let it soak in the water for a long time. I personally don't. Like I say, I just quick dip it in, let it out, and just on the plastic here, just let it kind of wallow in its water there. So give me a paintbrush. I have a special brush here I use for my microsawn set, so I don't kind of contaminate stuff. So using the one right here, we're going to look at the instructions and kind of get a visual of kind of roughly where it goes. I see it kind of goes. There's a power line here, and it kind of sits here. So I'm just going to rub a little bit on. It's just kind of beading because of the clear coat. So this is the micro set. And micro set solo, you're not going to hose it on. Anything with hobby, you're not going to hose the stuff on. Just very lightly, when you're painting or what you're doing. So just a little bit there. Let me just see how this guy's going. Yeah, I see it's moving, so we're good to go. So I kind of move this out of the way so you can kind of see on camera. What I'm doing is looking at my decal sheet, kind of where it goes, and kind of just lining it up. So I'm just going to look roughly. That's just the case. I got a little bit of extra water, so I'm coming with that Q-tip and just soak some of that water up. Just trying to get the angle right. I think it kind of goes up a little bit more. It's just trying to make it sort of lined up. What's good too is I didn't do this, to be honest with you, but when you are using new decals, it's nice to kind of do one kind of somewhere you don't see, just get used to see how long it takes to grip and stuff, and get a feel for it before you make a major one like I am. But I do know I do have some spare stars and bars on the sheet if it all goes terribly wrong. But so this doesn't quite run parallel with that line; it kind of goes up slightly, like that. Then come back with the Q-tip and get some more of that water away. And that is looking good, if you can again see that. Right, so now we're just leave that kind of stick down. Some decals too, don't have much use time. You put it down and then literally they stick immediately. So again, it's good just to figure out what you got going on and kind of adapt to what kind of decals you're working with. So let's flip onto the tails. So let's do this tail right here. Oh, bring the camera. So got this guy. So we've got a few going on there. So they're not all numbered for some reason, but looks like we have the LN 4th Fighter Squadron, 493 Fighter Squadron. We have the 127. We have a left and a right on this decal sheet. So this is a left tail. So we're going to need all these decals. So we need this one. So these ones. We get B1, which is one of these. Right, so I'm just going to cut them up individually so we can use them a little easier. Okay, so each one we're just going to go, see, I cut them up individually. We're just going to again dip it in the water. Boom. 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 do. I find hot water kind of speeds up the process too. Sometimes cold water takes longer for it to kind of, you know, become workable. So those 4 slide decals are done. Let's move this guy out of the way. We'll bring the tail in. And same process. So we're going to take the micro set. Pretty much the whole tail, to be honest with you. It's be a decal of some sort. We're just going to rub it all in. Brush it on, should I say. And then just wait a little bit, so wait for these to go off. In the meantime, I'm just going to put this back on my heater to keep this water warm. Actually, this way. How I like to, what is setting off, how I like to do decals too is I usually like to work like 30-45 minutes, do some, and then, you know, walk away, come back the next day or later in the day and do some more, like a little session. I definitely don't sit down and do like 300 at a time. So kind of break it out a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll go for a processor here, maybe do back a dozen with a set, and then once that's dried for about 10 minutes and actually stuck to the surface, I'll come with a sole and put the sole down, which we'll do in a little bit, a few minutes here. How are we doing with this? That's loose, that's loose. These aren't quite ready. So we'll start top and work our way down, I guess. Well, you know, in hindsight, we should have actually done the stripe, right? So let's do the stripe first, which goes this way. So yeah. Now I move my water, so I have to walk away again. So get the tippet. So, as these aren't kit decals, when it comes to these stripes and stuff, it might slightly be out, so we'll see. Obviously, every kit's slightly different, whether it be Academy or Great Wall Hobbies and that kind of stuff. Okay, let me just add a little bit to the top. Okay, so let's start at the bottom then. Well, so we need the AF to 27 one, which is this guy. Now it looks like that kind of runs level with that panel line. And it's quite far forward, so looks like the AF is across that panel line there. A little bit. Okay, so it sits like that. And then we have the 493. Again, with these tweezers, it makes it so easy because you just grab the side. Then kind of looking at level where it goes, it kind of just next to kind of the rudder. Almost on top of it. Okay, like that. And then the Lakenheath. Now, if you're not comfortable like me with, you know, pulling them off like this, you think worried about wrapping over, you can always just push it up to the side and just slide it off that way too. I'm pretty comfortable with using tweezers, so I'm going to get away with that. But Lakenheath. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to make sure it's straight. If you're in a situation where you've got decals overlapping and stuff, obviously you let the first one dry and then you come back and do the rest. Now I'm put this band at the top. It looks like it goes kind of just below that notch right here. Like that. Maybe a little higher. And finally this guy, which sits in the middle-ish. That looks pretty good. Just making sure everything's straight here. This is one of these things too, where you're prodding around for, you know, can be prodding around for hours and you get perfect and then you knock it and then it fraction of a millimeter, and it goes not go straight again. But that looks good. Okay, sorry, I had a little interruption with the kids there, but it worked out good because we actually could let things kind of bed down a little bit and dry before we came in with the micro saw. I inadvertently left this on top of the tail, and when I pulled it off, it pulled the decal, the 493 Fighter Squadron decal off. I guess the gods are looking down on me today because I managed to peel that thing off and a little bit of water, get it right back on there like it was before, so I dodged a bullet there and got lucky. Okay, add a few more decals on, as you can see. So yeah, leave it like 10 minutes just for it to really stick down, because you don't want to come back with this too early, otherwise it's just going to move your decals around. So simple as that. Just get your brush and get your micro saw, and on this one we're just going to rub very gently. Rub over those decals, and what that'll do is that basically this sucks it in. So the first one lets you move it around and stops it sticking, kind of thing. The red one, which is micro saw, basically sucks, like I said, sucks it in. So especially if you've got larger decals over pound lines, what it does is it pulls it all, that decal right into the model, and so you get the pound lines running through it. It looks like it's painted, not kind of stuck on as a water slide decal, basically. So leave it like that. You can do as many coats as you want. Again, do a light coat, give it half an hour. What happens, it wrinkles all up and it looks terrible. Just don't touch it, just leave it. Ideally come back in an hour's time, and it's still looking not, if you still need some more work, just put another coat on, and you can do as many coats as you want. If this doesn't work with certain decals, then you need to pull out the big guns, something like a solver set. This is for real tough decals that don't want to stick down at all. Yeah, this in stream, you can either use this, or you can use X20A thinner. Again, this is a nuclear option, or the super nuclear option is all else fails, Tamiya extra thin. Now this is extreme cases where the decal doesn't want to stick down, like a super old one or something doesn't want to stick. Just dab it with this and don't touch it ever again, and it will stick down. Just don't kind of move it around or do anything, just a quick drop and leave it. But hopefully with these we're going to be okay with the sole. So sole's on, like I said, that one, let it down, it's going to suck it all in, and it's going to hopefully turn out great. So let me work around, like I say, I'd like to work about a dozen at a time. So another, one good thing about that too is you can let them really dry, so when you're handling it, you're not going to pull decals off because they're fully, stuck onto the model. So we'll work on this a lot, work on the rest of the decals, and we'll come back and we'll follow up from there. So I'm done. All the decals are on, and happy to report no big issues. Everything went on, other than the one that got stuck to the paper, as I mentioned earlier, but I managed to salvage it. So all decals are on. Went on really nice. It's interesting, I noticed on these Caracal decals, it says printed by Cartograph. So they must have them done by Cartograph and sent back to them in the US. But the decals are nice, pretty easy to work with, especially with that clear coat I put underneath them, and using the micro saw and set. But the Caracal film is quite thick on it, so it's quite unusual. So maybe they have their own kind of spec, they get Cartograph to do it. Cartograph's normally much thinner, but these are a little bit thicker, but no big deal. Went down pretty good. Let's talk about, well, let me show you it. These aren't glued on the tails or anything, I just kind of just slotted them in just to show you, but see, it's looking apart now. Is that side, and that side. So, what should we talk about? So, firstly, these guys, decals that go across the intakes here, they were too wide for this kit. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a generic set of decals for different manufacturers, so the tolerances and sizes might be a little bit different. So the way to do it for me was to cut the decal in half, each of these, this one, and this one and this one, both sides. Just before I did anything, just cut them in half, then soaked them, and then when I put them on, just overlapped it, overlap the two lines on top of each other, and then that fixes the problem for the width. So that's how I did that one. These guys on the end, these lines, just kind of really held it down, kind of bent it over the edge, and just make sure you use plenty of sole and set, just kind of bed that in and no problems. Just hold it, a little tricky, just hold it in place, and just literally your finger just kind of squeeze it on. Those ones, plenty of set and sole for the lines at the top to get it to. Well, actually, sorry, plenty of sole, the red one, number 2, for these guys, the lines at the top of the tails, just kind of get the bed round. Again, these are a little bit wider, but I just kind of bend it around the edge, and just again with plenty of setting solution, make sure it's kind of bedded on, no issues at all. That is pretty much it. Oh, lastly, changed this one we talked about earlier. We actually did a demonstration on the stars and bars here. It's a different color. The one on it, you couldn't see it. It was so light grey. It might be part of the design and stuff, but it was kind of pointless because you couldn't really see it much. So what I did was I took it off and just put on a darker one so as you can see it. May not technically be 100% accurate, but for me you can actually see the decal, which makes more sense. So how I got the old one off was simply, you can see it here, just got a bit of masking tape, stuck it on, pulled it off, and just pulled the whole decal off, no problems at all. Paint works fine underneath, obviously, and there's the decal we removed. So that's the lighter version, so I went with the darker, and I'm glad I did. It's just so you can see it, otherwise you couldn't really see it at all. But that is pretty much it in terms of decals. Oh, one thing you hear me harping on these videos about LP9, LP9, LP9. So I actually buy these by the case. Ignore the XF71, but find a pack of 6. Not very expensive at all. What, $1.50, $2 if that. I get, for some reason, not available in the US, so I just get them from Model Hobbies over in the UK, and they have low shipping, and I get like say 6 at a time. So LP9s right here is Tamiya's clear lacquer clear coat, and this is the gloss one, the LP9. The gloss coat, mix it half and half with the lac. I use always actually the same manufacturer of paint than what I use the thinners. So I use Tamiya. Actually, I can show you right now what I use it, mix it with. It's in the drawer. It is this stuff. Focus. So this with this 50-50 mix. You can actually even go a lot stronger, to be honest with you. You can probably go maybe 65% with thinner, and then drop it down if you wanted with that. That'd probably work. Last 5 years or so, I've used them all different clear coats. I've gone Aqua Gloss. I've gone the Mr. Hobby GX 100, I think it is. Or you name it. I've done 2K, done all different ones, and this is. I don't have to jinx it, but I've done tons of models the past couple of years, and this is done pretty proud every single time. It's fantastic. Love the product. Lacquer, dries really quickly, no fuss, no problems, just sprays beautifully, and just literally spray it down. So I use this for my decals and after my decals to seal them in. I like that gloss coat for weathering, so I can get that wash off, panel line wash off pretty easily, and then I come in with matte after that, the usual XF86. For you need oils, because for neat oils you really need rough surface like a matte finish, otherwise it just wipes right off. So yeah, this is the LP9 I keep talking about. Like I say, I got a few cases of this stuff, and yeah, buy it by 6. Small pots, but again, pretty cheap. If you're thinking about buying like bigger clear coats, you might be paying $8-10. So the fact that getting these for $1.50 or $2 for a little tub here, it's 10 milliliters. But like I say, you're filling it at least 50-50, so you really get 20 out of the tin. So yeah, I'd use this stuff like water. Use every single model. Use it. Clear coat now. It's my go-to. No need to change at all in the future. Just love this product and hope it keeps on going. So that's my plug for LP9. But yeah, so that's it. End of this video. We're done with decals. So I'm talking about LP9. How much you can get an LP9 coat now, just over the decals to seal them all in. And then when we come back next week, we'll do the weathering. So we'll do a panel line wash and possibly some neat oils. We'll see how we go. But yeah, thank you for watching. As always, appreciate all the comments and all the subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider to do so. You get alert every time I post a video, which currently is every Tuesday and Friday. So until next week, have a great one. See ya. Bye-bye.